morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning, and thank you for your advocacy on basic science to advance the environment here. Water is extremely important to me as one who supports the environment and the integrity of our waterways. I'm concerned about some of the actions, not only nationally, but as well as how that impacts us locally. So thank you for that, and I support your ongoing work with that. My question for you, Representative Bernier, is one of the things that I hear is our concern about wanting to make sure that we affect and represent the interests of everybody in this, because everyone has different positions, as you said. And we're all concerned about different things, healthcare and water safety, and some of those things are near and dear to us. And what I really would like to see is that we have assurance that every voter has that vote equally heard, and it starts in Wisconsin. Because what's important to me may not be as important to some others based on their interests. So what I would ask for your support, and I know there's AB 44 that has come forward as a bill that would help to ensure that we have equal voice of every voter in Wisconsin. And I understand your role as head of the Committee of Elections is to be able to bring that forward to a hearing so we can actually become more effective at making sure that each of those votes is heard for what's interested in them. So I would ask your support in bringing forward that bill, AB 44, that would help us ensure every voter has a voice. Would you help us with that? Or respond to your position?
There's a current court case going on, and as you know, when there's a lawsuit going on, you don't generally try to comment on that. And I said last time you were probably in Altoona.
I was not.
Oh, you were not. Okay. I think some direction needs to be given, not just to the state of Wisconsin, but all the states in the United States, as far as data sets that can be used in the redistricting process. And, from my understanding, in 2011, when the redistricting had to occur, the rules as far as the people working on the process understood them to be. And so there's a question about what are the rules now. And I think it's important that we have a higher court determine what the rules are, because we're not the only state that apparently doesn't understand what the rules were and what they are. And yes, Mr. Smith was the chair of campaign elections when this could have been changed. 2011, we couldn't change it. Yes, Jeff?
But you can change this now. And I had a hearing when I was chair. All I'm asking is that you have a hearing on this bill, which has nothing to do with the court case. So don't try to flip it around that the court case prevents you from having a hearing on a legislative bill that has nothing to do with the court case.
I just explained why I don't want to hear that bill.
You,
Because I want the courts to determine what the rules are and what data sets can or cannot be used throughout the entire United States. I think it will be helpful. And I had a public hearing, informational hearing with experts from everywhere in regard to redistricting. And the Constitution requires the legislatures to do the redistricting. And there have been court cases challenging the fact that these non-constitutional bodies are making the decision. And when there is a conflict between a non-constitutional body and the legislature, which is constitutional, have a conflict on the maps, who takes precedent? The constitutional body. So I think that we need to have more input from the courts. I am an originalist. I believe our founding fathers said redistrict, do a census every 10 years, redistrict. I don't believe that all of, when your population shifts, that's how you do your redistricting. But there are many, many court cases that have come down the line for many years now that have reset rules, and this will be one of them.
If I could do one quick follow-up, I'd like to ask your position on the Iowa plan, which is a nonpartisan way, and really that's what I'm about. I'm about a nonpartisan solution to this that is based on an opportunity that has been proven to be effective to avoid the cracking and the packing of voters in different districts, which limits that ability. And the other point I would offer.
Is that a question or a statement?
Well, my question is, how do you feel about the Iowa plan? Is that a better system than what we have currently in Wisconsin, which has been ruled unconstitutional?
The Iowa plan, our LTSB attorney, and we're gonna get back to groundwater in just a moment.
I'm sorry.
Because this is not on the, our purpose for meeting today. But I have researched it, LTSB, the Legislative Technology System Department, he wrote his master thesis on the Iowa study, and it will not impact Wisconsin as well as it does Iowa for a number of reasons. And so, what works for one state doesn't necessarily work for another. So we're gonna get back to groundwater.